Krishnagiri is the administrative headquarters of the Krishnagiri district of Tamil Nadu. It is located around 90 kilometers from Bangalore and 50 kilometers from Hosur. The fort here is located on top of the Krishnagiri hill, also known by locals as Syed Basha Hill. It was considered impregnable as it was built on a rocky bald surface with hardly any vegetation to provide any hold. The trek to the top begins from a residential area below. There is a small dargah at the location where the stairway to the top begins. There are well laid out stairs for almost one-third the trekking distance. There is no historical documentation of who built the fort. It may have been built during the Vijayanagara period. It is believed that Krishnagiri got its name from the legendary Vijayanagara king Krishnadevaraya. After the Vijayanagara Empire was defeated by the Deccan Sultanates, the Adil Shahis of Bijapur had control of this region. Then this region came under the rule of the Marathas, followed by the Nawab of Kadapa. The Nawab of Kadapa had placed an officer, Aziz Khan, as in charge of the Baramahal region. Hyder Ali, who was a military officer under Chikkadevaraya Wadayar of Mysore, defeated Aziz Khan and captured the Baramahal region in 1755 AD. Later, when Hyder Ali became an independent ruler, he kept the Baramahal region under him. After climbing for some time, you will reach this small patch where there are boulders instead of steps. This is again followed by a stretch of stone stairway. The Krishnagiri Fort came into limelight during the Mysore Wars. In 1768, during the First Anglo-Mysore War, a British general named Smith captured the Krishnagiri Fort from Hyder Ali. Hyder Ali, in his counter-offensive, had almost reached Madras. As per the Madras Peace Treaty of 1769, the British and Hyder Ali returned back the areas captured by each other. In 1791, during the Third Anglo-Mysore War, Krishnagiri was attacked again by the British under Lieutenant Colonel Maxwell. The garrison of Tipu Sultan that was stationed there quickly ran up to the upper part of the fort and closed it. The British forces tried climbing the hill using ladders, but they were struck with boulders thrown from top. They lost around 7 officers and 78 soldiers were dead or wounded severely. Colonel Maxwell then retreated, setting fire to the town below. The British were able to clear Tipu's forces from the Baramahal region except from Krishnagiri. In 1792, after Tipu lost the Anglo-Mysore War, the Baramahal region was handed over to the British as per the Treaty of Srirangapatna. The Krishnagiri Fort thereby came into the hands of the British. The British stationed their 15th garrison here under the command of Captain Reed. There are some vintage paintings made by the British after it came into their hands. In 1799, This fort was the military headquarters of the Baramahal province. On 25th April 1801, during noontime, there was an explosion in the magazine where explosives were stored. This destroyed a considerable part of the fortification. Captain Harry Smith, the commandant of the garrison, and many others were blown up. The fort was abandoned shortly afterwards. The house of Colonel Graham, the last collector, was still standing. But the British abandoned all the buildings and vacated the fort, thus ending the glorious period of the fort. Currently, the fort is a protected monument under the Archaeological Survey of India. Once you reach the top, the first structure that is visible is remains of what seems to have been a doorway previously. 4 short pillars of the doorway welcome you inside the fort premises. Once you cross this doorway-like structure, you will need to take a left. There are painted arrows pointing you to the direction of the dargah. There are stairs cut into the rock in this stretch that will lead you in the direction of the dargah. After a short ascent, you will reach the summit of the hill. Overall, it is an easy to moderate trek, and it will take about 1 to 1.5 hours to the top depending on your fitness level. There are hardly any structures remaining on the top. There are remains of a few granaries, barracks, and magazines. One of them has been converted to an office for the BSNL. In one of the corners of the fort, there is a dargah of Hazrat Syed Basha Alia. Beyond this, you can explore the ramparts of the fort, which are interspersed with semicircular bastions. On the northern side of the hill, there are water reservoirs made by building brick walls as boundaries to the sloping rock. Beyond this small doorway, there's a passageway leading to another water body below the rocks.